Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to another setting of Rage Across New York. As tonight Simon is looking for someone he knows. He's looking for Dallas, and he's recently seen her around the training grounds where he spends some times anyway. So he'll head there, approaching Dallas.
Dallas, for her part, is currently on the training grounds. Looks like she's got a bundle of blunted training swords sitting next to her, and she's using a grinding stone to make sure that the edges are not jagged or in any way sharp. So she's purposely blunting swords at the moment.
See, he'll come. He'll make sure not to startle her. See, Dallas.
And Dallas will look up at him, and she gives a moment of pause before she goes back to grinding. What do you want?
Wanted to speak to you. There's a few things I wanted to talk.
All right.
Uh, well, it's a while back, but when we fought and Desmond came with us, I well, the three of us, the Den Mother, you and I, tried to fight Desmond. That, and he'll smile. I mean, I'm sure the Den Mother thanked you already, but yeah, that. Thank you for helping us protect their cub.
She stops and looks up, a bit perplexed. Oh, okay.
First of all, but well, that's just something I wanted while we were at it. Probably didn't need to be said, but thought I might as well. Thank you for that while I was here. But with what's right now and what might be a war, I I hope it doesn't come to war. And what you did there, what offered yourself to go there instead of the kin, that's that's a part of why I still respect the Get. Thank you for that.
She takes a really deep breath in and then lets it out.
And lastly, I remember when we last talked with the right word, yelled at each other, and nearly came to blows. I'm not going. I'm not a Get. I never was. And to be honest, it doesn't fit me.
She
I'm a
doesn't
child.
say anything, but she just nods.
I'm a child of Gaia.
You
That's
are that.
that's what I was. He'll smile and smoke. That's what I was meant to be. But if someone asks of my background, I'm not going to lie. You may not like it, and well, I hope. And he'll smile. I mean, when we're out of set, we tend to get along pretty well. When it gets to nation stuff, that we always butt head. And when it comes to how I grew up, I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to lie. I'll tell the truth. Because, yeah, I was born in the sect I was. And I grew up a certain way. And what made me change, what changed my mind, what made me decide I wanted to become a child of Gaia, it's all part of me. I'm not going to deny any part of my past. I just wanted you to know that.
So why exactly are you telling me this? What's the point?
Because every time I mention my heritage, you always seem to have some issues about it.
Because every time I've heard you mention it, you make a claim towards it, whether you realize it or not. Last time it was mentioned was when you came at me like you were ready to fight. And Aiden put you in your place. I don't know if things have changed since then, but every time I've ever heard you mention the Get, every time I've heard about you mentioning the Get, it's always says, I used to be a Get. And you say it with some amount of pride, as if you have any right to that pride. I don't
That's
mince words about it. I don't like that. You had a gift given to you from the moment you were born. You were born into Get bloodlines. You were born as one of Get's brood. And you turned your back on that. Very similar to how I turned my back on the Fianna. And to hear you sit there and talk about it the way you do, considering that you turned your back on it, makes me sick.
I'll stand there for a few seconds. I'm not gonna deny when I used to speak of it. Yes, there was uncertainty in there. But no, last time when I spoke of it in front of Aiden, I I wasn't claiming to the Get blood. I wasn't claiming to my past. He asked if I was a Get. I didn't say I was. I said I was born in a sept that was Get. I grew up and he'll think I was my was raised. My parents always thought I would be one, but that's all I said. I'm sorry if you thought that was me trying to claim to my past. It wasn't.
What about, I want you to think about something for a minute, Simon. The context of the conversation that was being had. Consider that. See, the
The
thing about you, Simon, you're a pretty damn good fighter from what I can see. You've managed to hold your own against some pretty rough odds. You fulfill your role within the Children of Gaia as a full moon adequately. But you don't really think about a lot of the things that you say, how you say them. Your mouth gets you into trouble. You need to be a lot more socially aware, and this is coming from somebody who's not that socially aware, Simon.
Yeah, there'll be like a side tilt to that. Not a confused, but more like when there's someone just the gesture of, yeah, I get the point.
Maybe if you do that, it won't be so antagonistic towards you.
He'll nod. The context of what happened there was, I was simply trying to protect the kin. I know you were what you were trying to do. It was good intentions, but it's the job of a guru to protect kin, and what you were doing, something at least I, and it seems a few people didn't agree with. I'm glad you listened to people, but it's just that back there, like I said, it was just me trying to protect kin.
From who? Me?
And yeah, you're not you. You said that you were going to hurt them. Not sure if it was true, if you were going to go out on that, but I.
Simon,
But
do I look like somebody who minces with subtlety?
no, not at all.
Right. If I'm going to hurt someone, I'm going to tell them I'm going to hurt them. What I said when I said it might have been ill-timed, but taking someone out and breaking them doesn't always mean you're going to hurt them. And where I came from, back before I had my change, our den father used to say, if we didn't get this sequence with the sword right, he'd break us. And that usually involved running a mile, doing up downs until you threw up, running another mile, carrying heavy pallets with cinder blocks around Sept all day until you were so worn out you couldn't even talk. If I wanted to lay my hands on a kin, let's say it. So, and she'll look down at her at the sword and lift it up and take a few swipes in the air with it. And then seeing that it's still balanced properly, she sets it down on the bundle. But to put my hands on a kin in that way, that would be completely against the way the Get do things.
And he'll nod at that.
But you had your righteous indignation. You sure you were coming over there to protect the kin? Or were you looking to lord your lofty morals over me? To shout at me as someone who you haven't been in good terms with about how wrong I was doing something.
I'll think about it. No, if I've learned, if you have a problem with what you're doing, unless it's sometimes it somehow becomes my problem directly, I leave it alone. I've learned that. Learned that the day I came into the forge and you were there with Aiden and 10 Point. I learned from that day. What you guys do in your own time is your own business. It's that was, like I said, that was me trying to protect kin. Maybe I should have waited. Maybe I should have made sure that you were going to that. And you'll think maybe I should have watched, make sure that you weren't actually going to do it, that you didn't mean it, that you weren't going to hurt them. So maybe, yeah, maybe I moved on too quickly. Maybe the anger got a hold of me. But no, that was me trying to protect kin.
She'll just let out a sigh, seeing like she just doesn't want to argue it much beyond that. And she'll shrug and take up the next sword and put it across her lap. And take the grinding stone to the edge of it. Let me ask you something, Simon. You think that this Bill of Rights that's causing us all this gripe right now is a good idea?
I'll nod. Yeah, I think it is. Kin are treated as second-class citizens many times. Less so here than in many places. And less so here than in other tribes. But still, a lot of other tribes, a lot of other septs treat them like second-class citizens. They don't have a word, they don't get a vote, they don't get much. Some people, and he'll think, there's a bit of anger as he thinks back on something. Wasn't so long ago. I even heard someone said when it was mentioned that kin that died, and it was mentioned that people should report to their family and ask for their names. Aiden actually asked for the names, and someone said they didn't matter. Like their names didn't matter. They themselves didn't matter.
Out of character, do you remember who said that?
Yeah, out of character, he remembers. If she asks, he'll say. Yeah.
Who?
Out of character, it was that, what's his name again? The Glasswalker dude. That's in the.
Felix?
No, it wasn't it's an NPC.
Oh, okay. Dallas has eidetic memory, but he does not. um, Dallas shrugs a bit. Not everybody treats their kinfolk the same way that the Get or the Cockies do. But the problem with this bill was seen almost immediately since its inception. You are pulling the wayward kinfolk of other septs here. And that is always going to cause contention. And what is already granted on this sept, what things that Mother Larissa won't allow, or any of the other ranking officials on the sept won't allow. You put down in writing and you made a declaration, and now everybody knows about it. And people who are looking to weaken us use it to their advantage to destabilize us and the relationships with other septs. Exactly what is going on with the Sept of the Sentinel. While the hearts of everybody involved were probably in the right places, either they didn't think about the consequences or they thought about the consequences and they disregarded them. The danger with this bill I saw from the moment it was mentioned. And now here we are, potentially at war with our closest neighbors over a kin who made a choice after judgment was passed on her and her family, after a mercy was granted to her. And because she comes here, and because that bill is in place, the only ways to deal with it, our hands are tied on.
So what are we supposed to do? Just give her back? Make her marry someone she doesn't want to marry? Make her marry the person that killed her entire family? And what are we supposed to do?
Her family were.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Her family was. What her family was about is get business. I can tell you, if you knew what they were about, you'd hate them. Everything they stood for is exactly the kind of thing that I find appalling, that you find appalling, that your alpha and your beta find appalling, that William White finds appalling. Silver Doom offered her a mercy and she took it. And the thing about being a get, whether your kinfolk are governed, is that you accept responsibility and you accept what Gaia and the judgment of Gaia's half moons put forth. Because you have the strength to do it. Would I rather live than die? Certainly. But if I made the choice to live and the conditions of that were that I serve a sept, that's what I would do until I couldn't do it anymore. That is why if they don't accept my offer, I have to live with the judgment of this sept. And that means I will have to fight and kill my own brethren. All because the bleeding hearts of this sept wanted to take a stand against something and put it down on paper. Progress is not a bad thing, Simon, but when progress happens too quickly, it always causes upheaval. And people die for it. And if we didn't have the worm or the weaver to contend with, this might be something that's worthwhile. But as it stands, this is counterproductive. And good people on both sides are going to die no matter what happens if this goes to war.
He'll nod. Which is why William and I had thought about having one of us fight one of them. Have that settled a single fight.
And what would be the terms?
If one of us wins, she stays, and if we lose, then well, we have to accept we lost. She goes back. Unfortunately.
And that would go against everything that you put in your bill.
It's fighting to protect that bill, to protect the kinfolk.
If Kiara goes back, she will commit suicide. She's told me as much.
So I didn't get the first part. If she goes back, what?
If she goes back, she will kill herself. I've already talked to her about this sort of thing. She doesn't want to be put up for being a prize to be fought for, to be won. And because of the wording of your bill, you'd be going against what you set out if you did that. And the get like Silver Doom and his sept would not be amenable to anything less. Because if you fight the challenge and you win, they won't say another thing. They took care of it the old way, and they will accept it. If you lose and you send her back, then everything on that paper is not worth what it's written on, what it's written with.
But if that paper wasn't there it wasn't there, they wouldn't be fighting for it in the first place.
Maybe we would, maybe we wouldn't. No one can really say for sure, but what I can say with some certainty is our hands wouldn't be tied. We wouldn't be bound by the decisions the sept made. We would have wiggle room. We'd have room to negotiate. We don't. Not now. And as long as that bill remains ordered the way it is, every time that this happens, the sept will have to stand and fight off other Garou. And some of them will be the kind of monsters that both of us don't approve of. But others of them will just be following the old ways. Some of them may not even be bad people. But because honor dictates the way they have to respond, she shrugs. What if one of the guy's king kinfolks flees here and asks for sanctuary? What then?
He'll think. That would be complicated. That would make things would I'd help think. Not sure what would happen then, but
I understand last time the Gaian king was upset with this sept, its occupants were sent to the Amazon to die. You take something of the Gaian king's, and well, I wouldn't be surprised if he brought the entire weight of the most elite forces within the nation down on the sept and slaughtered everyone here, kinfolk included.
if that happened, I would die protecting the kinfolk.
You would. And then they would die too. And if they weren't killed, they'd be taken as trophies of conquest.
But at least I would have fought for them. I would have stood up for them.
You would have, but you'd still be dead. And a lot of other Garu would be dead. I mention this, Simon, because if I do end up going, whether it's to serve or to die, that bill needs to be changed. It needs to be worded differently, so this doesn't ever happen again.
And what would you suggest? What changes would you suggest?
Well, I'm not a politician, a lawyer, or a philodox. There are people that are better than those things. But in the simplest terms, kinfolk that aren't part of this sept aren't included. And that's just the way it has to be. Otherwise, this problem will continue to happen over and over and over again. Meanwhile, while we go to war with every sept that comes knocking, the spirals, the weaver, the worm, everything continues to work against us while our attention is drawn elsewhere. You're Kagi, and one of the more naive, but probably one of the on this sept. If your voice comes up against this bill and says that it needs to be changed, that might actually mean something. If William White's voices comes up against this bill to change it, or Jacob, or Chloe, there's weight to it. And it's not just some belligerent, hot-headed get saying it, or group of traditional Fianna saying it. It's someone who stands on what the kin will view as the right side of this and saying, there's a problem here, and it needs to be fixed. If I go with the get from the set to the Sentinel, and someone else comes calling, everything I will have done will mean absolutely nothing.
He'll look pensive, thoughtful as he yeah seems concentrated on what she said. Whatever happens out there, if it comes to the unfortunate event of a war, I want you to know that despite our differences and our headbutting, I'll be proud to fight by your side. I've fought beside you before, and I'll be glad to do it again, whatever happens.
She takes a long, drawn-out breath, like she's she is trying to find words that aren't harsh in spite of herself. Or despite herself. I can never figure out the proper term usage on that one. But regardless, she looks up, takes a long breath, closes her eyes. Fighting at your side is my guiding duty because I chose to take up residence in this sept. If you can fight to change what's wrong with this so that it never happens again, then maybe I can call it to be an honor to fight by your side for reasons other than your ability.
And he'll nod. And he'll think about what he's about to say. Whether it comes to you leaving or a war, I hope that before it happens, we can share a drink again of like a moment like we did like we do when we're offset, when we seem to not butt heads as much.
Prove to me that my words here reached you in some way. And then we can talk.
And he'll sigh. We'll see.
I guess we will.
And with that, he'll take the few steps back as it is formal in Gary's society, and leave for B. And with
And
that,
Dallas,
sorry, go ahead.
and Dallas will sit back down and begin to work on the sword again, and just kind of makes like a and shakes her head and gets back to work.
with that, I guess we can end this in there. Thank you, Blaze, for playing, and thank you, watchers, for watching.